Yeah, Harold here. We're back at it with part 2 of SojuTalk, episode 90, where we get our weekly dose of hot takes, discuss K-pop news and events, and give you the state of the nation. Boom. All right, we just going into hot takes with Harold. The weekly hot take is lip syncing is acceptable in K-pop. Short and sweet, but spicy. Boom. See y'all next week.
You started sounding like Doug near the end. Maybe because they're cousins. They have similar voices. Yeah. That's what it is. Oh.
I just realized that because Harold did that, people who don't know who we are and just click on the part 2 video are going to be very confused.
This is the first thing they're going to see on YouTube.
This is the first thing they're going to see.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
All right. So the weekly hot take is lip syncing is acceptable in K-pop. Oof.
Man, that's a big debate in K-pop, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
I 100% think it's acceptable.
Same.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. Now,
let's talk about it.
So obviously in K-pop, I think a lot of the criticism for people who don't really listen to K-pop is like they lip sync all the time, which I think honestly kind of warranted because there is a lot of singing on MR. I don't know what all those things are, but essentially a lot of times like K-pop people either straight lip sync or they sing with a backing track, or they sometimes sing with the live recording of themselves going too, right? There's like different levels of what happens. I think in music shows, there's different amounts of quote unquote lip syncing where like rappers generally, you don't have backing, you just rap, right? Whereas vocalists, I've heard that if you're a main vocalist, you have less of a backing track. And if you're just a regular vocalist, sometimes you'll have more. So there's different levels to the game. I get that lip syncing has been a big deal, especially in America, starting with like Milli Vanilli back in the day, right? Ashley Simpson, those are some like notable lip syncing things that happened, right? So huge negative connotation. It feels like lip syncing is obviously a negative connotation. It's like you're faking something, right? You're not actually doing the thing that you're saying you're doing. But for K-pop, it's like, how about you go and do 50 jumping jacks and try to sing while you're doing those jumping jacks? That's my point, right? I don't know. Anita, why do you also agree that it's acceptable?
Yeah, I think I kind of lean more on the last point you made where because K-pop as a music genre involves a lot of choreography as in the performance, or I should say like the performance is a very big aspect of the song. I don't know. I don't give anyone any group of fault for deciding to do lip sync, or sometimes I don't think they even might have a choice. But it makes sense to me because you're breathing really hard. You're not very like you're not vocally stable a lot of the time. So it seems like in order to get a pretty quality performance, it would make more sense to make you not worry about singing too much or like sounding not out of breath when you're dancing. So I don't know. I think it makes sense to me.
What about you, Warren?
I have mixed feelings. Not gonna straight up agree.
Good.
Yeah, not simply because we need to have a conversation, but because I have a lot of internal conflict about this. On one side, I do agree with you guys. If you're into K-pop, because these people are great singers, because this is great music, you're kind of missing the point. K-pop is a lot more. There's a lot more that includes this entire genre. Obviously, choreography is a big part of what makes a K-pop performance come together. However, when I say when I translate K-pop musician to Korean, it usually becomes K-pop 가수, which
Singer.
가수 means singer.
Yeah.
At the fundamental level, these K-pop musicians are musicians. They should be doing music. If they are dancers, that would be a different story. But at the end of the day, the way I see it, choreo is it's to me it's like, yes, it's a very fundamental part of the entire genre in the industry, but I do prioritize it less than the actual music these people are doing. Now, that being said, I think there are plenty of cases where it would be acceptable and plenty of cases where it is not acceptable. And there are many cases And it seems like most cases nowadays they're not lip syncing. It seems like most cases and music show performances, at least, they seem to be doing a lot of singing on top of ARs. And AR is when you have the instrumental, the beats, and then you have the singer sing on top of it, record that, and then you have an AR track. It's basically the track that we listen to, but with a much quieter vocal line. That I think is a good compromise. You know, it's we're getting the singers are still singing on top of it. You know, we're getting a lot of what would be the complete picture if they were to sing it in the studio without the entire choreo going on. But because choreo is such a great part of the performances we get, I don't expect them to be singing on the top of their lungs every minute and second. Now, if I were to redesign K-pop from the ground up, if I came in and I was like, I am the Ministry of Culture, I am the minister, I will change K-pop because I make the laws. If that's what happens, I would probably say, go for it, do your choreo, but please sing.
So you rather them like not be perfect, right? You would prefer that.
I mean, no, I think ideally the choreo would not hinder their singing abilities or rapping abilities.
I see what you're saying there.
Yeah. But I can't do that. And in fact, I recognize that I am nowadays in the very minority for saying choreo is not the main thing of K-pop. It's because if I had to pick the pillars of what keeps the K-pop house up, choreo is definitely one of them. You know,
right?
The other three are money, but
marketing, money.
But no, I see what you're saying. No, I struggle with this because I'm not gonna name names here. There are some people in K-pop groups who are just not good singers, right? Ooh, I've seen, like, there are some kids. I don't know if it's a K-pop. There was one girl in Youth With You who was straight up just tone deaf, right? Like, there's no like way around it. The girl was just straight up tone deaf, and I'm like, you're trying though, right? But at the end of the day, it's like you're on a show to be a singer, right? So I was very conflicted about her appearance on that. There are also people in K-pop groups who are like, they're there, and if they don't have the backing track, it's not going to be a good time for everyone, right?
Yeah.
There's just a couple, obviously I'm not going to get specific about it, but there are some people y'all know who just are not the best vocalists. Now, the lip syncing on top of the backing track and things like that, that really helps them out, right? Yeah. Because what you actually hear then is like an average of what it should be and what might be a little bit wrong, but it averages out to something that's decent, right?
Right.
So that's what you end up getting. That's where I find conflict because you are right. They are singers. This is a musical genre at the end of the day, right? Now, do I think choreo is a big part of K-pop now? Yes, I'm doing that thing where I'm asking myself questions, but it's happening.
Let me talk about another aspect of this, right? Because we got to talk about the entire infrastructure of the industry. What is a key part of this industry? Music shows. They happen almost daily. They got ones on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Dude, you've been filming every day. The problem is, when you're an idol, you go and sit in these waiting rooms for like 4 hours minimum, 12 hours. Like, come on. I've seen the behind the scenes stuff. They just sit there in their little blankets, and they just sit there for hours on end. If you do that, of course they're not gonna be able to sing really well. What you expect? They're like cold. They're chilly. They're like just freezing in their little rooms. Yeah, they're tired as heck. It kind of sounds a little weird to say you're tired from sitting down a lot, but think about it. It's
a thing. It
is. It's you're exhausted from just waiting, and at that point, of course you're not gonna be able to sing really well. Of course, you're in a horrible condition to perform. So also
you're probably sleep deprived.
Yeah.
You're probably starved yourself for this comeback, so you're malnutritioned at the moment. It just ain't a good look.
So I think there's a lot of problems because I remember like a while back, music show producers were like, there will be no AR, there will be no, no lip syncing. They were all like, you're all gonna have perform live. That's what music show producers sound like.
That's what they sound like.
That's what they sound like. I've met them in real life. Believe it or not. Okay. And they said, no lip syncing. You have to have MR. which is the instrumental, and that was completely stupid to me because, well, in order for that to happen, you need to set up the right environment for that to happen. You need to give them proper mics, if you go to these sets, they don't have good musical outputs. It's not great, and then you're sitting for like 12 hours. Come on, of course they're not gonna be able to sing really well. That is complete stupid. That's why, if you vote me as the musical the K-pop minister,
What is this plot twist here, dude?
I will make sure that your idol gets the right amount of waiting time before going on stage.
Yeah. Okay.
2020,
That interesting.
running for music minister.
Yeah, I'm going back to that point that I made at the beginning. It's like they are essentially like running on a treadmill and trying to sing, right? That's they're trying to do like a 3-minute sprint and then trying to sing at the same time, right? Now, I think it's acceptable when it's used in those type of scenarios where it's like, all right, they gonna need some help here, or else they ain't gonna sound good, right? But there's some music shows that, regardless of what they're doing, they'll give you the backing track. I think that's a little BS.
Yeah, I think the level of lip syncing, I guess, or the level of help, quote unquote, that you're getting while you're performing, I guess it depends on how acceptable I would view it then. Because if it is like you said, Doug, where it's no matter what kind of performance it is, it's the full on instrumental and vocals, and it's not live at all. Like there's no aspect of it that is considered live except for the recording, the dance. I that's where I feel like you are a singer, right? You are supposed to be a performer, so it should be an aspect of the performance, or else I guess maybe this feeling of being genuine or like being real, right, kind of comes in. If you can do it live, but there's levels, I think.
Sorry, and I keep bringing more points, and this, I promise, is my last one. But there are a lot of K-pop idols, singers who are like, okay, I am a musician now. I'm an artist. I am produced. Actually, I am the producer. I produce my own music. I write my own songs. There were many artists, idols, who put out this image, and then I've seen them not sing live. That to me is incredibly hypocritical.
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that how I say the word? Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
English, yes.
English is hard. I have to admit, it's my second language. I'm not good at it.
Bro, it's my first language and I suck at it.
Going back to the point, it's that to me is another level of where I'm like, okay, that is absolutely not acceptable, because if you're saying that you're a producer, you are saying that you are making the song for the person to match their abilities, their concepts, yada yada yada. And if you're not able to sing it live yourself, you are telling me that you have failed to be a producer because you're unable to meet your own abilities. That at that point is completely unacceptable. I'm sorry. When you're putting yourself out there as this, I am now a high level artist. That makes no sense. Come on, like. But what was that little A in the middle?
I don't agree with you.
You tell me what you think.
It's not their decision to make sometimes. That's the only thing I want to say. It's not like they're the ones who are going up to, like, they can't go up, like, let's say Music Bank, they're like, you're going to get the backing vocal at like 70% of the volume, right?
Right.
It's not like you could go up and be like, nah, don't give me it, fam. He's going to be like, the heck, it's my show.
Right,
That's my point. They don't have control a lot of the time as to, like, in their own concert setting, yeah, they better, right? It's on their home turf and they're ready for this. But when you go on like a music show and the guy's like, this is how we do it here, because the different shows do it differently. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not like you have no leverage to say anything. You're just happy you're there, generally. That's the point.
I guess that's true.
Right? It's not like, let's say like someone who does a lot of stuff. Let's say Soyeon, right? She produces her stuff, whatever. And she's like, man, I want to sing over my track because, like, I've been working at this, right? Number one, though, she probably would because she's a rapper. But let's put that aside, right? Let's say there's a vocal heavy track. And she's on, let's say, Show Music Core. And at Show Music Core, they do, like, heavy backup stuff because they want it to sound good on the TV, right? Regardless of how you're feeling. She cannot go up to the producer and be like, fam, don't give me that backing track. I know
I'm
you do it
good.
to everyone. There's no way she can say that. Are you kidding?
I guess that's a good point. I retract all my comments about what I said about artists. Oh,
There's no way she could. Bro, if she said something, then they'd tell her company and then she'd get yelled at, right? Like,
Yeah, they'd probably be like, you know what? So ended yesterday. Not good. Don't like it. Bye bye.
yeah.
Whoa.
I think we're at a point where we could probably wrap up this. It's a little bit controversial, especially for people who do not like K-pop. They oftentimes point at this, right, as a
Yeah.
flaw. But I just, if your friends say something like that, tell them like, fam, do a gajillion jumping jacks and try to sing. We'll see how good you are, right?
It's hard.
But
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to point out was like, this is not to do with this topic. It has to do with music shows specifically.
Okay.
There was a couple articles or people were talking about in our Discord how like when you go on these music shows, not that many people like watch these shows, right? Because like apparently none of these shows are super popular anymore.
Oh, music shows?
Yeah, I heard they're not
nobody
like crazy
watches them.
popular as they once
Unless
were.
you're a fan.
And people were wondering like, why do you go on these shows? Because and you know how a lot of people are like, music show awards have become devalued too, right? Because like you have to be popular to get them. What people were saying is that nowadays people go on these shows is because you could demand higher appearance fees from other promotions
Oh,
because you're on these shows. That's one of the arguments I've been seeing lately.
interesting.
Interesting.
I don't know. That kind of makes sense because you could point. It's like same thing with our podcast. We could say, look how many people see our podcast if we had potential advertisers, right? It's that same type of thing. It's like, look how much we're out there.
Oh, so it's kind of like media exposure, more media exposure, higher market value.
And it's also staying on the good graces of the overall companies of these shows.
Channels.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I saw it more as like a fan thing, right?
I could see. I think it's a bit of that too.
Right, because you know what do fans like to do when you're well K fans, they love to go to the shows and do the chants, right? That's
Yeah.
a core thing about being a fan in Korea.
It's felt. You know how we had this whole discussion about fan chants, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about them. Now that we don't have them because of the Corona situation,
Dude, I love it. Thank you.
Right? Yeah. No. I've changed my opinion on that. We need them. Where are they? Like.
Oh no, I was saying they need to be gone forever now.
Oh, you think? What? You're happy that they're gone?
Yeah, please
Do
don't
you
come
I
back.
want
guys
them.
both still have your original opinions?
Yes. Yeah, don't you argued against me on this?
Okay, I have the memory of like my pet turtle here. I said I liked them before.
I thought you did.
I don't remember. I'm even suggesting, why don't we get the fans to record themselves doing the fan chant and we'll insert it into the shows right now. That's the level I'm at. Wanting them.
no.
No? Okay.
No, I don't like chants. I'm sorry.
All right. That's enough of discussion about music shows. We learned how the producers now speak because of Warren. That's kind of
Like
cool.
quiet.
Yeah, they all have that same voice, regardless of their gender, regardless of where they work,
They also okay. But
regardless of their age.
let's now move on to the news and events from this past week. So this is like the meat of the show, or if you're not vegetarian, maybe the seitan of the show this week.
man.
The protein.
The protein. Well, yeah, whatever. The
protein.
bulk of the show is these.
Here
news
is my
stories.
protein powder of the show.
So the first one, BTS and Big Hit donate $1 million to Black Lives Matter. On June 6th, Big Hit Entertainment confirmed that they and BTS had donated $1 million to the Black Lives Matters movement. According to a report by Variety, BTS and Big Hit are not expected to comment on the donation, but it was revealed that the donation was transferred earlier in the week. So it wasn't the day that it was announced. It was even earlier than that. Previously, BTS expressed their support for the Black Lives Matter movement through a post on their official Twitter account stating, "We stand against racial discrimination. We condemn violence. You, I, and we all have the right to be respected. We will stand together." Additionally, GOT7's Yoongyung and Mark, Day6's Jay, Hayes, J Park, rapper PH1 are among the many in the industry who have also made donations in support of the movement. So you would think it ends just there, but additionally, one day later, on June 7th, it was announced that ARMY had successfully matched the BTS/Big Hit donation and raised $1 million on top of what they did for human rights organizations such as Black Lives Matter, NAACP, and the American Civil Liberties Union.
Wow.
Impressive, right?
This is great. You know, one thing that I thought was really funny was how it's interesting to be a K-pop fan in the K-pop fan sphere, and then you leave that sphere and then you go out into the real world and you go on Twitter or like Reddit and see how people think about K-pop. And one thing that happened that I thought was really interesting and impressive and lovely was K-pop fans on Twitter. They took over the very right-leaning hashtags with fan cams.
They were like the white supremacist hashtags, we could say, for what they
Yeah,
actually
okay, yeah. They were basically MAGA, Trump supporting. I don't want to use any swear words. That's the thing. Anyway, and there were just fan cams. And I'll be honest, on one side, for like 10 minutes, I thought it was the funniest thing ever, and it was the first time I actually went on one of those hashtags, and like I just like scrolled through, and all I saw were like memes and like fan cams. But then I thought about it for a second, and I was like, "This is great. This is good."
Yeah.
I'm very, very. What's the right word? My heart was very warm. How do I say that? I was very, very. My heart was very warm. Yeah, well, yeah.
Your
Thankful
heart was
one
warm.
word,
Okay. If it's not warm, you're dead. So it was very warm.
Well, my heart became warmer.
Let's talk about this. So the first thing, Big Hit and BTS donating this money. You know, to be honest, it's like them just expressing their opinions. A lot of people felt like before they even announced it, they were like very happy that just happened, right? This is just the icing on the cake. And it's good to see that these people, like, so BTS and Big Hit, they got $1 gajillion, right? $1 million is not a ridiculous amount of money to them, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a big precedent. And I think it makes me proud as a K-pop fan, you know?
Yeah.
Because you got to think, so Big Hit and BTS, a lot of international fans are people of color, right? And it's great to see that the groups they like in Korea are willing to support this cause. I think that's cool. The second thing with the Bandcamp thing. So Stan Twitter, right? So Stan Twitter is essentially like the dumpster fire of K-pop Twitter. That's how I'll put it. My opinions on that are mixed.
Lovely lads.
In the past, I have expressed my dislike for Stan Twitter because I think it oftentimes leads to infighting or even just fighting between fandoms and unnecessary drama. Now, the thing that Warren's referring to is that normally on K-pop posts, people just spam fan cams of their favorite idols. I personally think it ruins the discussion of what's actually on a lot of these tweets, right, in the past. But I'm happy to see that it's being used for good, for one. I consider it a similar situation. You know how sometimes 4chan does something good, right? Where like they have this terrible like reputation, and then they like use their powers to catch like a criminal off of one piece of information, right? That's the sort of thing I'm getting. Where my relationship with Stan Twitter is, I get why people want to like promote their artists, but at the same time, I think sometimes it becomes just spam, right? But I'm happy that they're doing it in this way because it's actually being used for something positive. My sister, who's into K-pop, but she's like doesn't understand the whole like communication atmosphere of what goes on behind the scenes in fandoms. She was like showing me these articles and she's like, can you believe how great this is? Right? Like, so the general population is seeing, wow, look at these K-pop people doing something good. When oftentimes K-pop is viewed as something that's taboo, a little bit on the outer reaches, right? Might not be the most approachable thing. It's good that like the perception of K-pop is getting better because of something like this, and we're able to support Black Lives Matter. It's like a win-win situation right here.
What I thought was really cool was that we're supporting the movement in the best way we can.
In the most K-pop way.
In the most
too.
K-pop Stan Twitter way possible. I was like, oh, look at these people.
Yeah.
No,
we're in a really weird time because when I was growing up, like anime was still fringe, but people were starting to accept that as a thing growing up.
Yeah.
Like Korean culture, like no one knew what that was, right? Like,
right.
Let's be honest. When I was in like
Kimuchi,
1st to 8th grade, I don't think anyone even like knew what a Korean thing was. Now, it's kind of strange how it's become so mainstream over my lifetime. I would have never thought it, to be honest. Now, the fact that like K-pop now makes the news, like it's mind blowing to me. And the fact that we can support the Black Lives Matter movement in our own K-pop way, I agree. It makes my heart warm, as Warren would say.
my heart is still very warm.
Okay.
But it is now warmer because I know that this has happened. And I am
Nice.
a part of this community. I like to believe. I don't know. I hope. they
Anita,
accept
do you have
me.
any comments?
I know. Yeah, I saw the news articles talking about Stan Twitter and how the fan cams, right? That
Mhm.
some people are kind of iffy about sometimes. Like they see it as spam, like you said. They were kind of being used to repurpose, right, in this way.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice. I think, like you mentioned, it just feels good to see that despite there being some maybe not so positive things about Stan Twitter, um, you know, you can kind of come together and overlook certain things and just do whatever you can, you do the right thing. And
Mhm.
I don't know, that is how you say heartwarming. There it is. That's the term, heartwarming.
Not warm heart,
Heartwarming.
heartwarming.
My heart is at a higher temperature now
Yeah,
thanks
yeah.
to this movement. I want to you kind of pivot from here and like talk about the movement in general a little bit in K-pop in general, because like
Mm.
I feel like this is kind of monumental for something to happen with the Korean industry, like because I'm
People
thinking
talking
about
about it.
right Korean people are talking about it. It's being actively, people are noticing it actively in Korea, and there are many people who actively voice their support. And there are obviously many people who support in more direct ways like donations and whatnot. And I thought that was really crazy because back when I know that for a fact, like maybe 15 years ago when I was growing up in Korea, that could have never been a thing. That felt really wild. And then now you have situations where like Rain and Higher Music did a Gang remix, and
Oh,
they're
yes,
like
they did.
they're donating all the profits to the movement. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, it's like a true collaboration, a best of the best worlds. It's the worlds colliding in such a really lovely, nice way. And I'm as a Korean person, as a person of Korean ethnicity, I think that's well, as a Korean person who has spent a lot of their growing up times,
Childhood. Those
childhood,
elemental years. Jeez,
elementary
bro.
years,
God.
in North America, it's kind of wild. I think it's great. I think that it's wonderful that we're coming together, and I don't know, it's makes my heart very warm.
Heartwarming.
Oh my god. All right. Let's move on. So we had a good positive thing about $1 million. Now let's talk about something that wasn't good about $1 million. So
Oh.
Man,
Blackpink's Lisa was swindled by a former YG manager. This is nuts. So on June 2nd, it was reported that a former manager and longtime employee of YG Entertainment was fired after swindling Blackpink's Lisa out of approximately 1 billion Korean won, which is around 800,000 USD. The employee told Lisa that they would be looking for real estate purchase opportunities and then spent the money gambling. YG confirmed the reports and released a statement stating, after looking into the matter, we confirmed that Lisa was a victim of fraud by former manager A, in quotation marks, so we'll just call them A. According to Lisa's wishes to settle this amicably, as the former manager was someone Lisa had trusted, manager A has reimbursed a part of the sum and has left the company after agreeing on a reimbursement plan for the rest of the sum. We bow our heads and apologize for causing concern to the fans who love our artist. We are embarrassed by the misconduct of A, and we feel responsible for the management and supervision. We are taking preventative measures so that this does not happen again.
Man.
I don't understand. You work for YG, the company that has had so many scandals, and you actively decide, hey, I think I'll say I'm gonna do one thing with this money, and instead I'm gonna spend it on gambling. I don't know how that logic happened. Where did that logic happen? I don't understand. Where in their minds did they think that's okay?
Number one, I obviously feel bad for Lisa. I've also heard that she's having trust issues now, which makes complete sense.
Complete sense.
Number one, $800,000 is life-changing money. That's
Yeah.
that's a crazy amount of money. Let's talk life lessons. We're gonna have some life lessons today. We'll get the story in the next one as well. My personal opinion. This is just Doug's opinion on money, right? Do not give money to people, regardless of who they are. They could be your family, their friends, that you are not willing to lose. That is one of my life's motto. Warren's my bud, right? But if Warren came to me, he's like, bro, I need like 5 stacks, right? Like if he needed 5 stacks for some reason, and I somehow was able to produce 5 stacks, and I gave him 5 stacks, I'm expecting to not get my 5 stacks back.
Yeah, I'm quitting the podcast. I'm running away to New Zealand. That's what I'm doing.
What I don't think people understand is there is a thing in Korea of people like swindling money. It's a common thing. I don't know why. It is, right, Warren? Like,
I don't know if it's a common thing.
It's not a common thing, but like someone in their family has had this type of thing happen to them.
I don't know. It's a lot more frequent than where I see it in America, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
I don't know why.
I feel bad for Lisa because, number one, you got to think she's just a girl from Thailand trying to make a living in Korea, right? And she probably doesn't know how Korean real estate works all that well because she's probably busy.
Yeah.
Maybe not with music because they don't give her music, but maybe with commercials and recording for Youth With You, those type of things, right? So
most people in this age group don't really understand the real estate market to begin with.
And from what I read, she was like a close friend with this person, and they're like, let's do some real estate. We'll make a lot of money because in Korea there's a lot of real estate flipping. It's a big business,
right.
And real estate prices are always going up in Korea. There's some like celebrities who make more doing real estate flipping than they do their actual jobs now.
Right.
So it's a very common thing. And she was probably like, yeah, good opportunity to make money. I got this money here. Like, let's do it. And then this Seki goes out and gambles the money, which, number one, here's another life lesson. Don't gamble unless you're willing to lose the money there because gambling is set up so you lose money in the long run, statistically. So that's already dumb, so don't do that.
Also, it's illegal.
Yeah, in Korea it's extremely illegal too, which is another thing. I feel really bad. Now, do I think that Lisa holds some responsibility for trusting this person like this? Sure, right? You could say, like, maybe she shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, it's like, I feel terrible, like, about this situation. It's a horrendous thing. There's a lot of celebrities who are also have gambling problems, too, and people related to the industry. It's been a big thing as of the last, like, 10 years, right, Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're exhausted people with lots of money and not much to do for fun. I mean, I don't really blame them.
And I get the thrill of gambling. I get it. Right?
I get it.
I get it. But
yeah. I've
don't know,
played Maple Story before. There's gambling.
I've opened loot boxes in video games. That's technically gambling.
That is gambling. It is. Look, what really hits me hard is that this guy's supposed to be her manager. Like a manager, the guy who supports her so that she can advance her career, be really successful as a singer, an artist. You're the support guy behind the scenes, and you decide not to support and kind of harm instead. To me, that's really poop. You don't do that.
This is pardon my French, really shitty situation here.
I was trying to be nice and say poop instead of shitty, but I guess we're saying shitty instead of poop.
I don't know. This just gets me really angry that someone would do this to someone else. What about you, Anita? You're more level-headed than we are.
Well, I kind of agree with what you mentioned that, yes, some people might view it like you shouldn't have given that money to someone that you don't really know that well personally. But like you mentioned, this is supposed to be her manager. And understanding her circumstances as like an artist coming from a different country, not really understanding possibly how things work financially. You're kind of entrusting this person, this manager, right, to help you out, right? So I don't know. I honestly, I feel like 100% really, really bad for her. Like, I feel like she was definitely the victim here. Where, yes, it was unfortunate that she lent this money, but it was meant to be used, and she trusted this person. I don't know how long this person was her manager, but I'm guessing long enough where it felt like she could trust them, and this trust was broken. And I don't know. I think I really feel for her. I hope that she's able to have trustworthy people that actually support her. And I don't know. I feel like it's sketchy with YG right now. I'm really concerned.
Do you know how difficult it is to lose $800,000? Like, obviously, like, you have to think, right? This person, number one, somehow convinced her to give them access to this money, which is number one crazy, right? I don't think I could convince anyone to like, let me access $800,000 you got, right? I don't know how you pull that off, number one. Number two, you're like, all right, I got access to Lisa's money. Do you honestly think you're gonna like double it up and get a casino? You like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the person clearly has a problem because you're literally gambling someone else's money. You know how nuts that is? Like, I get the celebrities who go broke because they bet their own money. At least it was their own money, right?
Right.
This person was gambling someone else's money. That's bananas.
Really wrong.
Right? I don't know. It's just like, I can't believe this would happen.
Big thief. Don't be a thief.
Yeah.
Don't be a poop.
Don't be a poop. Okay. Let's move on to the third news story. This is also kind of sad. So, Youngmin officially leaves AB6. So, on May 31st, Brand New Music announced that AB6's Youngmin was caught driving under the influence of alcohol on May 31st. In a statement from Brand New Music, it was described that in the early hours of May 31st, Lim Youngmin privately met up with acquaintances for drinks and used his own car to drive back to the dorm when he was caught driving while intoxicated by the police and had his license revoked. Additionally, it was stated at the time that AB6 would be suspending all promotions and delay their comeback as 4 members from June 8th to the 29th. So we thought that maybe he'll eventually make it back into the group, but he ain't going to be doing promotions right now. That was the initial thing. But today on June 8th, Brand New Music announced that Youngmin would be withdrawing from AB6 following his DUI. The label stated, after thorough discussions with member Lim Youngmin, his departure from the group was decided today with respect for his wish to no longer cause harm to the group. We apologize for causing concern to many fans with the sudden news. In addition, we express our deep apologies to the many people involved in the promotion of the album due to the team's situation.
Why? Again. Why?
This one's even worse. Let's put it this way. Number one, driving drunk is inexcusable because driving a car inherently is dangerous. You're in a vehicle, right? You know the thing is, we as humans are extremely fragile. Like, right? Like, if I'm walking down my stairs, I trip for some reason, and I go headfirst down and break my neck, I could just die, right? That's a thing that could happen.
That could happen.
That's nuts. Or I could be in the shower, and something falls in and electrocutes me, and I'm just dead, right? Number one, like, human life is very fragile. Think about that. What pisses me off about this situation is this guy, Youngmin, he has money, right? He can afford to get a taxi. He can afford to get in trouble and sleep over this person's house and be like, sorry, I didn't make it back. Punish me, right? But he chose the selfish thing of choosing to try to drive home while intoxicated, which puts not only himself, but everyone else he was passing in his car in potential danger, right? That's inexcusable. Should he be kicked out from the group? That's a whole that well I could talk about that later, right? But I'm talking about the act of what he did. Like, don't ever do this. Like, how dumb can you be, right? Like,
here's the thing, right? I drink alcohol. I know that when I drink, I'm like, I am invincible. I can do anything. I'm actually not the type to say that, but I have many friends who will suddenly be like, let's arm wrestle, Warren. I'm like, no.
But that's me. I do that.
Well, I didn't want to say it's you, but okay, well, you got to
do that. I do that.
That being said, Doug doesn't say stupid poop. Like, I will now drive now that I am drunk. He doesn't say that, luckily enough. So I do understand how this happens. But there are so many precautions to stop yourself from doing this.
Additionally, statistically, people who get caught driving intoxicated, this wasn't their first time doing it either. That's also something to think about, right? Yeah, I agree. There were so many other options, right? He could have taken a taxi back. He could have called the manager and be like, I messed up. I'm really drunk. I'm going to sleep here and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll take the punishment, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, internally. Because I'm sure he has a curfew at the dorm or something like that, right?
You live in Korea. public transit is such an it's a lovely resource that I don't have in my suburban home right now in the Midwest.
Yeah, he could have been like, I'm gonna take a taxi, give his friend the car key, say drive this back tomorrow, I'll pay you some money to do it, right? Or like I'll come and drive it if I can, right? There were so many other options, but he chose like the selfish option, right?
What always gets me is that every time a celebrity gets caught drunk driving, there is no way out of it. They get incredibly criticized from almost every aspect of the industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of them never end up coming back. A lot of them just disappear into the void forever, never to be mentioned ever again. So really, it's a very easy way to end your career on a single go. So to me, I would be like, I practiced so many years to become a singer, an idol. I wouldn't want to ruin it overnight. Which one method of doing that is getting caught while driving under the influence. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
why would you risk any of this?
why would you risk? You know what's gonna happen if you get caught. It's not the question of I might not get caught. No, you live in Korea. The cops check every corner.
If y'all don't know, Korea has an incredible amount of cameras everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Now the point I wanted to make was I saw a lot of people saying that this punishment was like severe, right? I personally don't think it was, because consider this. Let's say you are a different type of celebrity, you're a comedian, you're an actor, and you get caught drunk driving. Sometimes they come back after like 5-6 years, right?
Right.
Now, if you think of the career span of someone in a different field, entertainment field in Korea, you might be able to do it from like 20 to 60, right? That's a 40-year span. Idol groups, your span is like 8 years, which is a fifth of it. So by the time, you got to think in K-pop world, right? Every time, if he sat out that 5-year span, right? The group's done already. That's essentially, and I know people are saying he probably, like, you know how they do the thing, like he didn't want to cause harm to the group. Regardless of what happened, Brand New Music probably didn't want him in the group.
All right.
Right? I would assume that, like, it might be a combination of both, but something had to give. There's no way they could have been like, you could come back in the next comeback, right? Because I also feel really bad for the other members of AB6 because it's one of those, this is a potential hot take for the future. It's one of those things, once you lose a member, there's something like a stigma around your group too.
Yeah.
And when the casuals hear the name AB6, they're not going to be, is that the group with the kid who drove drunk? The casual person in Korea might think that.
That's what that is. I ran into a lot of community posts where they were like, oh, that kid from that group was drunk driving, and they're like, who is this kid? And they're like, this is some kid, and the comments were like, no, he's not a kid anymore.
I don't know.
He's old enough not to know that.
Especially when you're like an idol, you're not only representing yourself, you're representing the group and the company, regardless
And
of
the
how,
fandom.
and the fandom too, right? You are carrying a lot of expectations, and you have responsibilities to upkeep. And obviously, what he did was, I think he could learn from his mistake, obviously, right? But considering he's left the group and there is no precedent for rejoining groups, like, he kind of blew it, right? It's sad.
It's worse when you realize that he's the leader of the. It's like,
Yeah.
you are the face of everything here. And I understand that if you're a fan of AB6 listening right now, I'm sure this hurts to hear. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate. He done goofed. There's not. Let's say there was some miracle backstory where he didn't want to drunk drive and he was forced into it or whatever. I mean, once this happens, it's impossible to be active in the industry, especially when you don't have an established career. There's people like Dongchul, for example. He was an A-list variety man. It took about like 3 years, 4 years for him to barely be on cable, and he's still like nowhere near where he was like 10 years ago. That's just how the industry works.
It really sucks for AB6 as well, because they're in like year 3, and this was their most critical time. Cause
year 2.
Oh yeah, they're in year 2, because like with AB6, if you had like 2 or 3 more good songs, you're about in the top tier. Like, we always thought that out of the produce groups that they had the most potential, That was our feeling because
I was
4 out of the
excited.
5 members were on that show and had established popularity. It just sucks for them. Really does.
Now, next week, I don't want to spoil this for Good Girl, but for Good Girl next week, all 5 members of AB6 filmed.
Yeah.
And all 5 of them, they were shown in the preview for next week. Now that's a problem for the producers. They have to go back and edit out all his face. That's every time he makes an appearance, they have to cut it out. They have to crop it out. They have to place something over his face. I don't know. You're causing trouble for everyone involved, man. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Got any comments, Anita?
Oh yeah, well I just wanted to mention some stuff because Warren kind of lead into it about like how the fans might view this, right? Like especially if you were into AB6, you're a fan of him personally. I feel like I understand the feeling that some fans might have where it's kind of conflicting, right? Because you kind of wanted this person to do good and to succeed in their group, and then you figure out like they do this really terrible choice of not thinking about themselves and others, or maybe not even have the ability to think because you're intoxicated, you know, like just putting yourself in a situation that is not good. And I get it. I feel like it really hurts, but I also feel like if you look at it from the learning perspective, I'm glad that nobody got hurt. I'm glad that they actually caught him, that he's able to learn from this, hopefully. And I don't know. I feel like yes, this will affect his career, and I think it is kind of harsher in comparison to what you might experience from other celebrities in your country. But I do feel like it is kind of the right thing to hold people accountable, despite if they're celebrities or not, because it is illegal. You are putting other people's lives at risk. So I don't know. I do feel like there is some bad things to this situation, but also it could have also been a lot worse, and I'm glad that it's not. I'm glad that he and other people are not hurt, that he will eventually be able to continue with his life, whether it is in music or not. I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like it's a learning experience.
And trust me, I do really understand the perspective as a fan. I like beyond K-pop. I mention this every now and then. My primary like source of listening to music is Korean rap, and not a long time ago, a couple months ago, Noel, rapper from Indigo Music, was caught drunk driving, and he tried to get away with it, and like he tried to do stuff behind the scenes, all shady stuff. I was incredibly heartbroken. I honestly just wanted him to leave the company. That never happened, and I'm still, to be frank with you, I'm kind of pissed that it didn't happen. So trust me, when we're making these comments, criticisms, trust me, I know how it feels. It is painful from a fan's perspective, for a person that you look up to so much to do this kind of thing.
I also want to say that the punishment that he got is not atypical of what other people would get. I feel that most idols in this position would also have to leave their groups. It's not like they went extremely harsh, out of the norm for what happened to him.
I was honestly very surprised when they just didn't kick him out right
the
off
beginning.
The bat. Yeah. I was like, you're not going to? Oh, interesting.
All right, let's move on to quick takes. We got some good ones. So the first one, Twice with their new album More and More broke the girl group record for first day album sales on Hanteo by selling 262,000 albums within the first 24 hours. The previous record was 133,000 set by IZ*ONE's Bloom Eyes. More and More also reached number 1 on iTunes top album charts in 30 regions, and additionally, the album sold 332 copies on Hanteo in the first week, which is the second most all-time for a girl group during the first week.
Man, this is crazy.
Album sales this year are nuts. Next one, eBest Investment and Securities Financial Report states that SM Entertainment could be debuting their new girl group as early as next month in July.
Whoa.
What?
SM has not confirmed nor denied the report.
Whoa.
So a lot of times these investment companies who know the stock, like they go to the stock meetings, all those type of things, they release what they think is going to happen. These are like basically their projections, and oftentimes these are pretty correct. So
Ooh.
Next, Cube Entertainment established a music license partnership for 3 years with China's NetEase Music. The exclusive music license partnership is reportedly worth 3.5 billion Korean won, which is around 6.1 million USD, and will further strengthen active promotions of Cube artists and their music within mainland China. NetEase Cloud Music is an online music streaming service with nearly 900 million users and is known to be one of China's top streaming platforms along with Tencent's QQ Music. That's nuts.
That is nuts.
Other Cube news, G-Idol announced their 2020 online concert Island Who Am I set for July 5th. Originally, the group was expected to embark on their very first world tour Island Who Am I from April through July of 2020. I was supposed to go. But due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the tour has been canceled and instead moved to the online platform. There's been some discussions about their thing is called Island and the following thing is called Island. We're not going to talk about that though.
I was about to say.
Lastly, more news on Big Hit / CJ E&M's Island competition show was dropped. Island will have 2 parts. Part 1 will begin on June 26th. By the end of this part, 12 trainees will be selected which best meet the criteria and can debut. So they're gonna basically, they've been releasing profiles for the contestants.
Right.
There's obviously more than 12. I don't know how many there are, but they're gonna cut it down to 12. In part 2, which begins on August 14th, the 12 trainees will move on to a new quote-unquote game where they will be a final selection for the debut group, and that's pretty much what's going to happen. So part 1, they're going to have a bunch of kids, cut it down to 12. Part 2, they're probably going to cut further and then have the debut group.
I wonder how many members they're going for.
We have no clue.
It just sounds like some sort of K-pop Hunger Games over here.
It's going to be great, though. You got, and the trainees, their ages are, I think they're like 14 to 22 or something. Like, I think they were like kids, I think. I might be wrong with that. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure some of them were young. But we're now at comebacks and releases. I'm really worried about next week. Warren, hit us with them.
Oh boy. Next week, June 9th, coming is Cosmic Girls, also known as 우주소녀 WJSN, as well as Chungha via her new MNH New Wave project. June 10th, on Thursday, we have Zaya coming back, and Flying coming back, and Haze coming back. June 11th, we have Thursday, Momoland is coming back. On June 15th, on Monday, we have IZ*ONE coming back. In other confirmed comeback news, we have Baekhyun confirmed for June 16th. Stray Kids confirmed for June 17th. 17 confirmed for June 22nd. Golden Child confirmed for June 22nd. 3rd. Do Seung-yeon, aka Woods. Woods? Is that how I say it?
Yep.
Coming back on June 29th. Lee Jin-hyuk coming back on June 30th. Yoo Jae-suk collabing with Rain and Lee Hyori coming back on July 18th. Taemin of SHINee coming back on July, and then Park Bong coming back sometime this fall. Oh man,
There are so many comebacks over the next 3
Oh
weeks.
my gosh.
next week we can't cover all of these. Let's just
Okay.
be real.
Haze, I'm sorry, fam.
Yeah, okay.
That's
I understand.
That's number 1 off, right?
Yeah.
Number 2, this Chungha thing, I think it's a Sprite commercial.
Oh, I saw
it
the
was a-
teaser.
So if it's a straight Sprite commercial, maybe we won't cover that, and then we'd be left with Uju Sonyo, Daya, and Flying Momoland IZ*ONE. That's a lot, but it wouldn't be like we could possibly do it, right?
You know what?
Doable.
We'll have a very special episode next week. That's a little longer than the other ones.
All of our episodes are long. All right, but let's get the state of the nation. I spent a lot of money on K-pop and C-pop stuff today. I mean, not today, this week.
Oh man.
I know I sound angry that I spent my own money, but I bought one version of the Twice album, which I do for every Twice album. IZ*ONE added a 3rd version that's called the 3D version of their album.
no,
I
you
didn't
gotta
buy
buy it.
that. I just bought the 2 regular versions,
Oh.
so I got that. Youth with You. So the resulting group is called The 9. On Alibaba Express, which is pretty much Chinese eBay, right?
Right.
Someone was selling those acrylic figure stand things that I like for the group, and it was $5 each with free shipping.
Oh.
I might have bought 9 of them.
No.
Oh my god, you bought all
Who
nine.
said?
I bought the whole set. I have all 9 kids coming.
At least you got free shipping all the way from China.
Let's put it this way. I have 3 of them for IZ*ONE, plus I bought one for my sister in Boston. I paid between those 4 like double what I paid for the 9 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm
mean,
kind of excited. I'll post the picture once I get them all.
yeah, I mean, as long as you're excited, right? Like, it's your money. As long as you're happy with the way
I
you
spent
spend
too much though. There goes my stimulus money.
it.
One other thing before Anita and I could talk Road to Kingdom a little bit is that I've been watching Korean movies lately.
Ooh.
One of them I watched, it wasn't that good, but it was Tacha, One Eye Jack, and Lee Kwang-soo from Running Man was in it.
Oh.
Okay, there's this obviously a double standard where female nudity is more commonplace than male nudity in movies. That's just a thing, right? We all know that. The most nude person in that whole movie, I saw Lee Kwang-soo's flat ass for like 3 minutes straight. They've been making fun of his butt on Running Man for the past like month, and I was like, it can't be that bad, right? I watched the movie. You see so much of his butt for so long. It's like uncomfortable.
He's a model though, right? He's a model. He's an actor.
No, like I mean, he was obviously he you know how he's like skinny ripped, right? You know,
Yeah.
like he exercises, he's very skinny. They just showed a lot of his butt for a very long time.
I mean, was it a nice butt or was it like?
No, it was so
a nice
flat. And they've been making fun of him because he has like they've been calling him like flat butt and stuff. I get why they were saying that now. Like if it was you, Warren, and you had that flat of a butt, I'd make fun of you too. About, like, just wanted. So if you want to see Lee Kwang-soo's butt, check out Tacha One Eye Jack.
Oh man,
the movie's not that good, but you can see his butt.
I mean, if you're into the guy, if you're into men's butts, might as well,
All right, Road to Kingdom happened, right, Anita?
It did.
So previously we had the collaboration between TOO and Very Very. They did On from BTS the last week. This week we had who was it? On and Off and Pentagon. They did
Right.
Blackpink Kill This Love, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Do we do like a spoiler alert for this?
Spoiler alert. I don't think the stage is a spoiler, but now we'll talk about spoilers, right? So they did that one. And then the other people was One Us and who else is on the show?
The Boys.
The Boys. They did Sunmi's Heroine, right?
Oh wow.
Yes, they did, which is an interesting choice, I think.
Yes, and then the order that it came out with was Kill This Love got first, followed by On, and then Heroine. Yeah. And then we got some solo stages too, right, Anita, I believe?
Yeah. So for episode 6, they finished up the remaining of the collaboration stages, which were Pentagon, On and Off, and then One Us and The Boys. And then for the second half, they started doing individual. I got a little confused here because they did individual group songs, right? So the groups by themselves again, but they were given a song from the group they collaborated with.
So this is what I
basically?
understand, Anita.
Something like that.
I think there was a pool of songs that you could have chose, and then each group chose a song from that list
That they
right?
wanted to perform,
and then the group that they were paired with has to do that song.
but
But
They
they didn't know
know
that.
this.
They didn't know that.
Yeah,
So it was like a shit. So, One Us ended up doing Neko Ha Ja Be Mine from Infinite.
Yeah.
TOO did Got7's Hard Carry, and On and Off did Rain's It's Raining.
That's such an interesting.
That was an
choice.
interesting stage. That TOO stage, Anita. That was my least favorite stage of the entire competition so far.
Oh really?
I
Was it
thought
that
it was they tried to do every single gimmick possible. That's how I felt.
That's never
It
a
felt
good
very
option.
forced. And the weird thing to me is with that, like, Hard Carry is very iconic. They switched up the choreo, and I was like, maybe you should have just done the original choreo. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, I was just a little confused. I got confused because before I knew what song they had, I saw their outfits, right? And to me, it felt very bright.
Yep.
And I guess it fits them because they're very young. They're the newest group in the competition, but it kind of didn't fit. I guess personally, I didn't think it fit the vibe of the song. So it was just an interesting combination of things.
I feel that either One Us or TOO are most at risk to get out. Those are my guesses. I don't know which one though.
Yeah.
Lastly, for me, that fadeaway song, Jackie Y, Kugi, Palo Alto, and The Quiet.
And Pesagong.
Yeah, that guy. That's my most listened to song this past week.
Hey.
I'm back on the Jackie Y hype train specifically.
Jackie Y took a picture in front of the Deja Vu offices today.
Huh?
Who
Interesting.
knows? She might be joining the likes of BY and Simba Zawadi and Kundi Panda, the people who are under that label. So and beyond.
Wow.
I just named a lot of artists that our listeners probably don't know, but that's okay. Because I now we'll talk about big superstars.
Oh, yeah?
If you're done talking, that is Doug.
I'm done.
Well, I'll have you know that I've been watching this show called Hang Out with You.
Hang out with you. So hang out with UJ Suck specifically.
Right. It's you with a Y-O-O.
Oh, yes.
The Korean title is Norman Bohani. It stars SojuTalk from Running Man, previously an Infinite Challenge.
It's basically one man infinite challenge.
Basically, he does a whole bunch of different things, and he usually does them really well. That's really cool. And one of the recurring things he's been doing is like I mentioned earlier in the upcoming comebacks, he is doing a 90s themed summer song.
Yes.
I know. I knew. I knew that you like that. And then during that show, they've been talking about a lot of the retro stuff, 90s stuff. That was really cool because I only listen to 90s music so often. I'm not Anita, to be honest with you. I'm not the world's biggest fan of 90s music, but I do like it. And I was going back listening to stuff like Cool, which is a co-ed trio that was really famous in Korea. They did a lot of summer songs. And the other people that's joining SojuTalk for this trio special event is Leori, who is arguably one of the greatest female divas of K-pop in general.
She is the best diva of all time, in my opinion. Just throwing it out there.
I like to say I liked Jung-hwa a little more than Leori, but to each their own,
All right, well, no, yeah, because Ihyori's way more visible on Variety.
Yeah, too, and Jung-hwa's like just a better singer to begin with. To be frank with you, Leori's a shit singer. She's just bad at singing. I'm sorry.
She's all stage presence. She's all stage presence.
She's all stage. That being said, her stage presence top tier.
It's like she's with some of the best stage presence I've ever seen in a Korean artist ever.
Yeah, and like the other male artist that's joining is obviously Rain. If you don't know who Rain is, he is a. Sorry, there's a deer that's just staring right at me right now. It's so weird.
Are you falling in love with this deer?
No, it's just stared right at me. It's eating a leaf right now off a tree.
Is it making eye contact?
Well, now it's lost eye contact. Now it's okay. Now it's looking at me again. Now it's coming near me. Okay, it's running away. There you have it, folks. National Geographic.
Geographic.
Geographic. Whatever. National Geographic. Okay, this company channel. Okay, look, I'm listening to 90s music. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes.
Rain also appeared on Workman this past week.
He did. He was the first guest. That was really cool. But one thing I really wanted to quickly shout out was this artist named Park Moon-chi. She is a producer slash singer slash rapper slash dancer. She and her whole thing is that she does retro stuff. She does 90s stuff. She was in CSVC that we covered. I talked about that.
Yes.
There you go. There you go, Anita. Your bulbs are ticking today. She was the main power behind that. She does a lot of everything she does is like retro, 90s. And then she did a 90s rendition of any song by Zico. In kind of a disco style. And then she did a 90s ballad style of Boy in Love with BTS with Halsey.
What's her name?
Park Moon-chi.
Park.
Moon.
Oh, Moon-chi. Okay,
Yeah.
I see you now.
Moonchi maybe.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look okay. Park Moon-chi, moon as in the thing that's on the sky, with CHI, the first three letters when you spell Chinese. So think about it as Park Moon, Chinese food. That's what you think of. She did 90s rendition of those two songs from BTS and Zico. And I'm not gonna lie, it's good. I like it.
Nice.
I've had it on a loop.
Mm.
Well,
Ooh.
there you go, folks. 90s is roaring again in 2020. Back at it again.
Yes. Let's go.
Anita's dreams have just come true. It's a great time to be alive for you, Anita.
It is.
Except the 90s itself. Right?
Yeah.
Would you rather live in the 90s or 2020?
The 90s, bro.
Well,
You kidding?
okay. See, things right now are
Nah.
kind of
Okay.
sometimes, but
Would
not
you
everything's
rather?
perfect, you know?
No. Okay. Would you rather be 20? Let's say you're 25 years old or something like that. Would you rather be in your 20s during the 90s or during the 2020s?
Now,
Oh, that's
technology's
a hard
better.
question.
Yeah, but Anita likes 90s music.
No, okay. I see. The way I see it now is that if you are in the modern era, of course, you have access to a lot of previous music, right? And
Right.
I like a lot of the music that's coming out right now. It's just that the 90s music, I don't know, there's like a weird nostalgia to it that I personally didn't really live through it a lot. Like I was alive in the 90s for only 3 years, but I don't remember it very well. I just hear things that I really like from the 90s, but if I could go back in time and like if I could spend a day in the 90s, for sure.
What would you do in the 90s for a day?
Well, I've always said that I would like to go to like a concert from artists that were only like super super popular, very very active in the 90s. But yeah,
Anita,
That's
that's when you talk about what you've been doing. Anita. Talk.
Oh, okay.
Instead of
so-
the 90s, since it's 2020, I've been doing homework.
I have been watching Road to Kingdom, like Doug
Mhm.
mentioned. Honestly, I was a little confused, to be honest, with the first ranking, right?
Mhm.
Spoiler alert again. The first ranking that happened with the collaboration stages,
Yep.
I did not agree really personally with the way things were ranked, and I was a
Okay,
little
what do you think was
confused.
the best?
To be honest, I feel like as far as like interpretation of the song, right, and the actual
Mhm.
stage and performance, dancing, and arrangement, I guess I thought Very Very and TOO did really well, especially considering the amount of people they had on stage.
Okay.
Because if you saw the episode, they mentioned that TOO did not want to sit people out for it, so they had they had like 17 people on stage, I believe, from their own group plus backup dancers. So it was a big commitment here in coordination.
That one very, very guy hard carried that whole thing. The
Songhyun,
one-
their
yeah, the leader guy.
Yeah.
Bro, it seemed like a struggle for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the oldest
Mhm.
95 lines, so I think he kind of felt some pressure as well. But I don't know. I just feel like I hope I'm not being too biased, but I really thought that stage impressed me a lot more than Pentagon and On and Off and One Us and The Boys. I thought The Boys and One Us collaboration stage was really interesting, and I thought it was a really nice touch that they had like a moment in their performance where they included the other group's names on the screen, and they were kind of
Okay,
saying,
I found that cringy. Not
really?
gonna lie.
Oh, I thought it was a nice thing to do. 'Cause I feel like yes, it's a competition, but I think like at the end of the day, this is mainly exposure for a lot of these groups. Like only 2 of them will actually get to go on to this next survival thing, the actual show Kingdom. So I do feel like I don't know. I kind of liked the message behind it, but unfortunately, it didn't rank very well in comparison to the other groups. Which is I think it's for The Boys, they're okay, right? Because they've been on top for the majority of the show. For One Us, it's a little concerning because they're towards the bottom of the ranking at the moment. But
This show as a whole is not doing that well in terms of ratings.
oh
It's like pulling like a 0.4 average,
dang,
which isn't good. Even like Queendom was pulling like a 0.8 most of the time.
I'm not gonna lie, that's higher than I expected though.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I know internationally we watching it a lot, but in Korea, like not many people are watching it.
it's yeah. I mean, there's no reason for the regular Joe to really watch the show.
I
is
think
there?
regular Kingdom is gonna have good viewership though. Not crazy numbers, but like a lot of K-pop people don't watch that.
I think it'll be at least 0.6.
Yeah. What else have you been doing, Anita?
So this is, I mean, it's kind of related to K-pop. Well, I'll just say
Just do it.
So
Yeah,
Wavy,
Wavy. Okay,
who is
that's fair.
technically a unit under NCT. They're scheduling a comeback soon. I don't remember the date, but they've started releasing like teasers and individual shots of the members, and so that's exciting. But I think something that's interesting about this particular comeback is that a lot of the stuff that they're releasing, like the teasers, videos, all that, it's under SM, the SM channel, so not their label V channel, which kind of I think it implies that they're going to be promoting this song in Korea at the time. They did a little bit for their other song Moonwalk. They had like some stages in music shows, but I think they're really gonna try to perform more, I guess, because they seem to be doing a lot of stuff formally through SM channel. So I don't know. It'd be interesting because I really do think Wavy is a really talented group, but they don't really have as much I don't know, maybe as much international exposure as K-pop does with their local promotions in China. So it'll be interesting.
So this comes out tomorrow on the 9th. So it will be out by the time
Yeah.
you're listening to this, everyone.
That if they do promote this in Korea, this might be the first time that all non-Korean K-pop group promotes, all non-Korean boy band promotes in Korea. There has been a girl group that was all Japanese, but they're K-pop.
Cool.
There's also been appearances by a couple Chinese girl groups on the music shows, specifically like from the Youth With You show I'm watching. There was 2 groups that promoted in Korea before.
Honey Popcorn was the one I was talking about, but
all right,
Anita doesn't know. Anita, do you know why we're laughing?
No.
Keep it that way.
Honey Popcorn is the group made out of the AV actresses from Japan. Yeah,
okay.
that group.
Nothing wrong with that. It's a viable career in
Yeah.
Japan.
I'm assuming that's it, right, Anita?
Yes.
Okay. Before we wrap up, boy group survey should be coming out on like Friday. Obviously, we're not the ones who decided what it is. I don't think it's too spicy. I think certain fandoms are going to be a little bit pissy, though. I think is the correct word.
Hey,
We'll
don't
have to
think
see what
about
it
it.
is.
Don't.
No,
don't
I'm
think...
not. I'm not concerned. I'm just like.
No. I'm not talking to you. Shut up.
What?
No. Just sorry. Please, when you're listening, when you're watching, please don't think of it as the golden standard for all K-pop.
Oh, of course not. Of course.
Think
not.
of it as us, our community, coming together to celebrate what we think is great. It's like a friendly competition within our SojuTalk community.
Additionally, it's averaged out of 135 responses, so it is. I'm going to say after 135 responses, that's a pretty good reflection of what people actually think, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is obviously because the survey is not done under any objective measures, or else we wouldn't need everyone's help. But it's more like a perception, an eye test of what people think the guy group industry looks like.
Right.
It's interesting to see because it honestly, the girl group one and this one came out sort of what I thought it would come out as. Like, not super crazy.
I would agree.
We'll have to see, and honestly, it's gonna be interesting talking about it because me and Warren do not know everything about guy groups. We'll try. We'll do it. But next week, so many comebacks, so little time. We'll have to see what we're gonna do because it's gonna be kind of crazy. But this has been SojuTalk Weekly Shot of K-pop. I'm Doug. I'd like to thank Warren and Anita for joining me today. We'll be back next time with episode 91. We're only 10 episodes away from episode 100 in season 3.
Ooh.
Bananas. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
Bye. Rocket punch.
special shoutouts to our Fiesta patrons: Gogu Mama, Jack, Jacob, Malfiar, NJ Parks, Snap Wilson, Tier, and Wolf297. Thank you for joining Social Talk, your weekly shot of K-pop. And special thanks to our Discord server mods: Jacob, K-Music Erday, Malfiar, No Bias Luna, Tuggles, V, and Wolf297.